So hello guys, for this video I'll be showing you how to use SQLite in Android. So let's create our project from scratch now. So new project tayo, and then I'll select empty views activity and then click next. Then I'll name this one my database demo. So take note of your package name. We will be needing that later to look for our database. I'll be using Java for this one. And then let's create our project. So I'll be using the API 7 minimum. So click finish and then wait for the Gradle to be completed building. So this may take some time. Ayan. So once the file's already loaded, mostly ready na siya. So first, what we need to do is to create what we call a contract class. Ang contract class allows us to control our schema. So basically, we put everything in the contract class. So for this one, go to your package, right click, new class, new Java class, and then I'll call this one database contract. So we need to put everything here, every column name, table name, and the DDL for the creation of table. So we're going to record, for example, a contact. No, for example, you have a friend, you get the number, tas you will be saving the number. So yun yung structure na gagawin natin. So let's first declare the version of our database. So public static final int database version. So the version will just hold changes, no? So since this is our first database, version 1, so this will, if there would be some changes in your schema, i-update nyo lang yung version. And then we can also put here our database name. So public static final string, then database name. So I'll call my database as contact.db or generally for my application. So my database demo db, no, to adhere siya sa project name. And then you can also introduce some strings that you will be needing for your query, pero okay na to sa akin. Let's make the constructor private. So this would prevent unwanted instantiation, no? So you can comment here na prevent someone to instantiate because if you don't have a constructor, your class is not capable of being instantiated. And then every table that you will be having in your database will have an inner class here. So you need to define your inner class and then extends it to or implements it with base column for you to have a primary key or default ID. So let's say this is my inner class. So inner class table contact. So yung gagawin natin. So public static class, then we call this one contact table or simply contact would do implements base columns. And so you need to import the provider under that provider that base columns, and then open and close curly braces. So inside this class, you will be defining your strings, no? The column name, the table name, and so on and so forth. So public static final string. So let's call the table name. Let's call this one table name. Then the table name is contact. And then public, same again, public static final string column name. So let's say column or I'll call this one contact name column. Contact name column. So contact underscore name. So this is one of my field, and then number. So let's declare another string. So this is my column, contact number column. So I'm adding ano lang, a suffix, so I am sure that these are columns. Yeah. So our database contains a contact name and contact number fields, and then the database name is contact. And we can add more columns as needed in your program. For this one, okay na to. I'll proceed to the DDL now. So public static final string. So this string will be the DDL that create table. So you may name this one depending on your convention. So I'll create a table here. So create table. Then let's add the string. Name of table is table name. Then followed by opening closing curly braces. There. And then first is the column name, and then give it a name, and then a value or a data type, I should say. So by default there would be an ID already, so I can just directly construct the create table here. So you can still add the primary key here. So let's since we implemented base column, so we can directly call the ID. No. So call the underscore ID plus what kind of data type it is. No. Integer. Then constraint is primary key. Then plus another column. So you need to add the separation. So we can add the semicolon here. Some convention is they declare the comma as a constant string also. So for me, I'll just put the semicolon there, or the comma, I should say. So after the ID, you can call the contact name column, and then what kind of data type you want this one. So text ang lalagay ko, and then if you want to add constraint, you may do so. So and then contact number column, it is also a text. We forgot the space here, so space. Ayan. So this would probably create your table already. So this string would create your contact table. Then if you want to delete your or drop your contact table, you can create another constant string, static final string, that would delete your table. So delete table equals delete underscore table equals our DDL drop table if exists, then our table name. Yeah. So basically this is your contract class, and every time you need to change something in your database, you don't need to update everything inside your code. You just need to update the contract class. So let's now move to the creation of our helper class. So helper class will allow us to implement our connection to our SQLite database. So here we will be instantiating our this will be the helper class is the one will be instantiated and being able to connect to the SQLite. So let's create another class here. Let's call database helper. Then since this will be a helper class for SQLite, we need to extend this one to SQLite open helper, this one. So you need to import the SQLite under database SQLite open helper. So you need to implement or you need to override methods here. The first one is of course you need to create a constructor. So public database helper. So the constructor needs to have a context here. The context meaning the current screen or current activity where is your database running. Then you need to import this one. You need to import the context, and then of course as a constructor you need to access the parent class constructor to update. So the parameters would be the context and then the database name. So the database name is under our database contract. So we call our database contract class that database name. And then second parameter could be null, and then gamma is our version. So database contract that database version, then semicolon. As you can see, it still turns red. We need to implement the on create now. So at override, we need to override the on create public void on create. Then the parameter is the SQLite database. SQLite database. Then just have a parameter na .db there. So we need to, once you instantiate this class, this would run. The parameter would be the SQLite database, and then we will call the database and then execute SQL. So this would execute our raw query, which would be coming from the database contract class. So database contract, and then we will be calling the create table. So we call our contact that the create table. So this would only run once your application is installed, and it will create all the tables or only the contact table. So if you have multiple table, you need to have execute all the create table here or all your DDL statements here. Yeah. So after that, we need to implement the on upgrade. So the on upgrade will just create a new version of the database as needed. So SQLite database, then the old version, and then the new version. You can just call it old new there. So as you can see, the error would not uh, the warning would not exist anymore. So we need to, if you're going to upgrade, you need to delete the old database. So you need to execute the database contract that table that delete, and then you need to call again the on create. So the upgrade will just uh, update your database. For example, you have changes in your schema, you usually call the on upgrade. So data will be discarded, and uh, database would be changed. So call this one if you have changes schema. So data will be version of database will be created. Yun ang gagawin yan. So discarded database. Then you can also call the downgrade. So for example, you need to return back to your old version. So downgrade, same parameters, SQLite database, then old version and the new version. So actually you just call the on upgrade again, the database, and then call the old version and then the new version. So you're going kumbaga to update your database from old to new. So basically you're just upgrading it with different version names. So pretty much ito lang yung laman ng inyong SQL helper. So let's go back to our main activity. So we already have the database contract and then the helper. Now we can implement our database in our main activity. So for this one, I will not create pretty much a user interface. We'll just run everything sa console using the logd command. So sa on create, usually this is where we instantiate everything. So I'll declare our database helper here. Database helper, db helper, and then we need to have SQLite database for us to get the readable and writable. So then here we instantiate the db helper. So db helper is equals to new database helper. Then the context will be this activity. Yeah. So you can add here instantiate So basically, our DB helper would already create tables for our app, and then we can now communicate with the database. So before we move to the DML, let's first create our on destroy. So usually we close our database connection under the on destroy callback method, since we are sure that the application is already closed, so we don't need to have a we don't need to use this one anymore, so we can close this one here. So db that helper that close, and then just call the soup that on destroy. So this would just call the on destroy parent. So you can add override here as you want, and but I think the IDE would already ignore this with or without. Yeah, so pretty much this is already ready to uh, communicate with our SQLite. So let's move to our user interface. I'll change this one to linear layout to make it simple, since this is just a demo. Linear layout. So you don't need this attribute for linear layout. Then we make all the gravity here center. Layout gravity center. So we need to add the orientation vertical. So layout gravity center. Okay. So let's add a button. So the button that will add data, button that will delete data, and then will update data. Then that also will view data, and then everything will be displayed in our logcat window here once we run our application. So since we are focusing on the demonstration of the database connection using SQLite, so let's create a button here. Button. So I'll be implementing the on-click listener from an XML. So first we need to have the with wrap content, height, wrap content also, and then text. First is insert data. So let's put insert, and then gravity center. So if you click the insert, we need to have a listener. So let's implement the on click, and then add tayo ng method. So insert data. So the insert data should exist in our main activity here. So we need to create a insert method. So public void insert data. Then we need to implement the view here. So we need to call the view, then import this one. So if you click this button, it will call the insert data method from our main activity, Java. So here we can code now the insert command for our inserting to our database. So first we need to call the content values. So the content values will allow us to package all the data that we want to insert, or the record that we want to insert. So contact values is equals to new contact values. Then if you haven't imported it, you need to import the contact values under the content, and then values that put. So we will be adding hard-coded values. So basically, you need to go back to your contract class. So our columns in the contact table is contact name and contact number. So you actually can hard code the contact name, contact number, but since we implemented the contract class, so we call the database contract here, database contract that contact our table name that contact name column, comma, and then the value. So I'll name this one, example, let's call this one Killjoy. Yeah. So values that put again, and then same, you call our contract class the table, inner class table, and then the column name, which is the number. Then let's add, for example, the number is here 9, just a random number there. So this is already our values, and then we're ready to implement it by connecting or calling our get writable database. Since we will be inserting data, we will be calling the get writable in our SQLite. So this here is our uh, database object now for SQLite database. So you can call that one db is equals to our helper, db helper, and then that get writable database. So if you're going to insert it, you call the get writable database, and then let's implement this one. So db.insert, you just call the insert method, and then what table, the first parameter is the table, so you call the database contract class that contact that table name. Ayan. Comma, and then the next one would be a column hack, no, so just leave this as null, and then our content values here. Yeah, so this will insert the data in our contact table with these values. So this will return a primary key. So long, let's declare a variable, let's say long id is equals to db.insert. So then once inserted, we just need to, I just log this one, log.d. So I call this my database demo insert. So this is the key, so you can easily track, and then call the id plus, let's say, return there. So if we run this one, we would have a the database would be created by instantiating this one, and then clicking the button here, the insert would run this code, which will allow us to add data in our table. Now, so if you instantiate the helper class, it will call the onCreate exec SQL, then you will call this one, which will create your database here with a column with a table named contact. Ayan. So let's run this one first so we can see the output, but we will not yet create our database. So I'll comment out this one. So of course we will not click the button, so it will not produce any error. So just click run, select your device here, then it will give this output here, just a hello world, since we did not add anything yet. Ayan. So you have the button. So if you click the button, we will get an error because we comment out this one. I just want to show you where you can see your database. So for now, since we have not instantiated our database helper, database will not be created no on this run. So go to your view tool windows and then go to your device file explorer and then look for data. So this your like emulator OS files. So go to data and then data again. Then look for your package. That's why I said earlier for you to remember your package name. So my is my database demo. Just look for that com.example that my database. This one. My database demo. So you can click on this one. Then as you can see, there is no database yet. If we instantiate this one, you will have a folder here named database, and then you can see the your database there. Yeah. So let's stop the running now, and then let's now bring back this one. So once we compile this one, it will now create a database, and then if we revisit our device explorer here, you will see there would be a database table. So this is our running emulator. Let's let's run this one again, and then let's click the button so it can insert data. Then let's observe the logs here. So you can put here a log also. So log d. So my database demo, and then the message will be helper has been stated. Yan. Then by clicking it, we will be inserting data. Do I have any errors here? Semicolon. Okay. So let's run this one. Then observe the log cut here. So you can search for the database helper has been instantiated. So we have successfully instantiated our database helper. And then if you go to our file explorer, then just have a refresh again. So let's look for our database demo. How do we so maybe we need to call the insert. So let's click on this one so that it would insert data. As you can see here, ID 1 has returned. So our first data or record is or has a primary key of 1. So let's go to our device file explorer. Let's refresh. Then you have a database folder here. Then click on this one. Then this is your database. You cannot view this one inside the Android Studio. If you want to view the data here, you need to download what we call SQLite browser. So you can search the internet. So just Google, you can search the internet for SQLite browser, and you can download this one. So click on download, then download the one that is suitable for your operating system. So once you have downloaded it, like mine, so I already have downloaded it earlier. I just downloaded the standalone version, so this one. So it will look like this, just a application that allows you to browse SQLite or create SQLite. So let's go back to our device file manager, right click on this one, then save as. Then look, let's save this one to our documents. So navigate to your documents, Android project. So maybe I'll save this one here. Then click OK. So let's go back again here, and then this is our database. So let's open this one. So file, open database, go to your directory, and then this is it. So you can see here the contact table that we have created, and then we don't have triggers or indices, so that's why it's at 0. Then you have, if you want to see the data, right click and then browse table. Then you'll see the data that has been inserted, using our command earlier here. So if you click again the same button, it will again insert the same data. However, it will return as a different primary key. So let's click again on this one, click insert, and as you can see, it will be inserted again. So we don't have validation when it comes to the contact number. So basically, contact number can be inserted unlimitedly. So there could be a redundancy in the data. So if you want it to be unique, just add the constraint unique during our creation of table. So let's stop this one, and then let's navigate back to our code. I'll change this one to a different value. Let's call this one, for example, Viper, and then change the data here. Just random numbers, and then let's implement the other DML. So insert is already good. Let's move to maybe view the data. So I'll add another button here that will allow us to view the data. So the data will be just displayed in our console, in the logcat. So I'll add width again, wrap content, height, wrap content, and then text would be select. So we will be performing select, and then gravity, center, then on click. So we'll call the select data. So we need to implement this one, select data. So let's go back to our main Java, and then implement the select data. Select data. So here we'll be querying all the data. So basically lahat ng mga data kukunin natin. First is we need to get the readable database, since mag-select ka lang ng data. So let's get readable database, and then we need to perform our query. So usually you'll be needing projection. So projection will determine the columns that you want to retrieve. So just create a string array, and then we call this one projection equals string, and then the columns that you want to get. So we will be getting the contact name and then contact number. So tawagin nyo lang yung contract class dot table dot then the column and also the number. So contract class again, the table and then the column. So the contact number column. Yeah. So if you have more than 2 columns, you can call that one here. So let's make it this way para kita sa screen lahat. Yeah. So next is selection. So selection which performs the filter. No. So filter is we call the where clause in our SQL where clause. So string selection. So actually we will not be implementing any filter here since we need to retrieve all the data. I'll just make it null. No. Again. In case you need to implement it, for example, you want a specific filter, so you can call your column name, for example, database contract dot contact dot what column you want to put in your where clause. So, kunyari, name, then last space, and then your operation. I'll use equals, and then you can put question mark, and then you can create your arguments here. So string selection arguments equals the values you want to put in your argument. For example, the column, the contact name will be Killjoy, something like this one. So it will only retrieve the contact record with the contact name of Killjoy. So since I want to retrieve everything, we can make this to both null. So you can make this one null, then comment this out, and then null then to. Then comment this out. So I put null since so later on I can reuse this one. So since null naman siya, actually you can just submit null to your query later. Ayan. So if you perform the select in SQLite, you will be calling the dot query method. So it will return a cursor. So cursor equals db, our database readable, and then perform query. And then you can see here all the parameters. So you need to add the table. So we call the database contact class again, contact, and then the table name, comma. Next parate will be the columns, which is under our projection, comma, and then the where clause, no? So you put your selection here. Since it is null, you can actually put null directly. Pero to make it more flexible, I'll put the selection variable here. So anytime I can change. The selection argument is also null. So you can put null or your variable that represents a selection arguments. We don't have group function, so this will be null. Next parameter is group filter of group function, null also. And then lastly will be the order, sort order. So you can actually declare a string here representing the sort order. So basically, we will not implement a sorting order, but I'll show you na lang dito. So string sort order. So you just need to add the column that you want to sort. Dito is contact that you want to sort by contact name, that contact name. Then by default it's ascending. So usually you will be just using it to sort descending. So plus space descending. Yeah. So if you add this one in the last parameter, it will sort the data by the contact name and descending order. So however, I don't need to sort. I just want it the way it was inserted. So I'll give this a null value, semicolon, and then comment this out. So you can call this sort order here. So, and then closing, then semicolon. So this is your cursor. Now, so you already implemented the select. So we want to display the data in our logcut window. So basically, we need to perform a while loop, extract all the data, and then put it inside the uh, logcut window, or to display it. So if you're going to display it in the user interface, you need to implement like list view and adapter for you to be able to add the data to your display. So for this one, we'll just display it through our logcut. So I'll call the while loop and then call our cursor and then cursor that move to next. So it will iterate every data that we have. So next is we will retrieve the columns inside the cursor. So to do that, you can declare variables here, then long id cursor that get since it's long, get long. The parameter will be cursor that get column index or throw, and then the name of your column. So the name of column is inside our database contract class. So database contract dot contact dot id. There. So we need to do this one for the contact name. So name, or we can call this one contact name to make it descriptive, equals cursor dot get string, and then cursor that get column or throw, then database contract that table name is contact, and then column name which is contact name, and do this one again for the number. So contact number variable contact number equals this one that contact number column. Then since we don't have user interface to display this one, just call the log.d, and then my database demo select schema, just display the id plus space plus the contact name plus space, then plus the contact number. There. So this will just display the data for us. So we can actually run this one. So based on our previous demo, we have called the insert twice. So basically you have 2 killjoy in your database already. And then if we run this one, we change the data of insert to Viper. So if we click the insert, it will insert the data, new data, which will be the third data, which is Viper. And then if you call the select data, it will display all the data that we have. So let's run this one. Okay, I forgot something. Let's stop this one. We need to close the cursor after we use it. So proper that close. So let's run this one again. Let's go to logcat window, then scroll. Let's click on select. So I think there's a problem. Okay, so we're getting an error here since I think we have not added the ID. So our projection is just calling the name and the contact number without the ID. So we need to update our projection. So let's call the database contact.id. So we have not add our ID in our query kasi. So let's run this one again. Then go to logcat. Then let's have this one. So if you click the select, it should display the data here. Yeah. So if we click the insert, Viper now will be added, and then if we click again the select, it will show us the updated list. So click insert, then click select again. You can see the data is now added successfully. So if you want to check it, go to your device file explorer again, right click on this one, save as. Let's save this one again, maybe in the documents, then click OK, override if there already existing one. Open new database, open database, and then go to your documents. This is our database. Click on this one. You can see the class, add the table and the table and the table name, browse data, and then you have here. So basically we have added the data successfully and was able to view it. So let's move next to deleting and updating data. So I just add two buttons again that will perform update and delete directly. So of course, if you're going to implement this one in your application, you need to create a user interface that would allow the user to interact with the data that he or she wants to delete or update. So with the data that they want to delete or update. So I create a button again. So same structure, we drop content, wrap content, then text is update, and then gravity will be center, and then on click would be update data. So you can just click on this one, then click create, implement. So for update, just the same. You need to connect the data at your database, and then you need to call the content values, add the columns with the new value, and then perform the selection with the arguments. Yeah. So db that get writable. db is equals to db helper that get writable database. So writable because we need to manipulate data. And then let's create a string new contact number equals 123 123 123, and then we need to create the content values again. So content values equals new content values, and then values that put our column. So database contract that table name that column. So number column will be updated. The value will be the new contact number. Okay. So let's perform the selection here. So string selection. So we'll be using the ID. So database contract class that table that ID, and then operator will be equals, question mark will be the parameter later, and then the argument will be string selection argument will become, let's say, the second killjoy, so 2. Yeah. So we will update the second killjoy contact number. Let's also update the contact name. So new contact name will be, let's say, Omen. So let's add this one also here. Values that put contract class, our contract class database contract, yung column table tapos column ulit, contact name, then value will be the new contact name. Yeah. So we need to execute this one using db.update, and then you just submit all the new data to the update. So what table you want to update, you call the database contract again, that contact class that table name, and then the values that you want to update, values, and then selection, then the arguments where equals id is equals to 2, and then semicolon. Table name, value, selection. So this could be an array pala, I forgot. So let's here. So this will update all the data inside the selection arguments. So we put 2. So basically it will execute an update statement. So update contact set contact name equals Omen, comma contact number equals this one, where contact ID is equals to 2. Ayan. It will return the number of rows updated. So row count equals this one. Then let's create a log here. So my database demo update so count plus rows updated, semicolon. Yeah. So if we run this one, it will just update our data with id2 with the following data values, and then just log this one. So there's what's okay. So this is how you execute update, and then let's also add delete. So let's add delete already. Okay, so let's start implementing the delete part. So I'll create another button here, and then same goes, no? Let's add again yung width, then wrap content, height again is also wrap content. Text will be delete, then gravity, center, and then on click would be delete data. So let's go to our main activity again and then implement the delete data. Void so for the delete data, you just need to again instantiate or call the get writable database, since you're going to delete the data. So db is equals to that get writable database, and then we have selection here. So string selection would be what column you want to use, no, for the deletion. So I'll use id. So let's call the contract class that contact and then that id, and then the operation, so equals, so the argument, let's go for the argument string selection arg. So this is an array, would be id. Let's delete the id 3, which is Viper. You can add multiple id here that you want to delete. For now, isa lang muna tayo. And then once you execute the delete, so db.delete, you just need to again call the database name. So let's call the database contract that we created, the inner class contact, and then the table name, which is contact, and then let's call the selection and then the argument semicolon. So this will return you how many rows has been deleted, so you can save it in a variable, and then let's just perform a log.d and then our key. So my database demo delete, and then call the deleted rows plus rows deleted. So actually that's it, no? You already implemented everything, the DML here. So let's run our application again. And then let's move to the log cut window. Now, let's see the data again. Let's call the select. Yeah. So currently we have 2 Killjoy, then 1 Viper. So in our insert now, it will be, it's still I think Viper now. Insert up, add data, insert data. Yeah, it's still Viper. So if you insert again, Viper will be duplicated. So let's do that one later now. So let's execute first the update. So the update is we will be updating the data with id is equals to 2, which is this one, and then it will become omen and with this value. So let's execute the update. So 1 row updated, then let's display it again, and as you can see, the second data is now omen, same with our code here. And then let's delete Viper. No? So Viper is number 3, and in our delete statement we will be deleting with the data with ID 3 or record with ID 3. So execute delete, and one row deleted, and then let's display again. Select. Yeah, as you can see, we only have 1 and 2 records now. So if we execute insert again, Viper will be inserted again, but with a different ID. So insert ulit. Okay. It will continue from the previous one, which is 2. It will become 3. So Viper will become 3 again. And let's execute 2 times. So insert again. So if we display, so we have 2 Vipers at the end. So let's execute delete. It will delete the ID with 3. Then let's display ulit. And so you have Killjoy, Omen, and then the Viper 3 was deleted. So if you insert again, it will just continue from the previous one. So you'll have 5 here. Yeah. Then if you select, you'll have 1, 2, 4, and 5. Okay. I think that's it for my demo. Thank you for watching. Before we end, let's extract the data again. So let's go to our device file explorer, navigate to your data, and then your package name, database, then save as. Let's just save it in a documents folder. Document. Just override any existing, and then let's close this one since it is the old one. So let's open again the database, then go to documents. This is our database. Open it, then go to database structure. We have contact table, browse, then you'll have this one. Oh, I think it was not updated, so let's close this one, then let's resave it again. Okay, it encounters a problem. Save as. Oh, let's close this one first. Okay, let's close na lang muna, and then let's do synchronize, then I think it was saving the database, however it was open earlier. Yeah, so it's still doing something.